Philosophers and scientists are priests and acolytes. They'll tell you that what you believe is wrong and can't be right. The sky isn't blue.
Okay, good morning. Okay, can you move the camera over?
I can a little. Let's try. How about you move over?
All right, I'll get closer to Louise.
Right. How about this? Is good? Where do you want me to go? It's been a while.
Yeah, that's good.
Since the while since I had a guest. Welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Sorry, we've been having a little technical.
No, don't even have to-
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to mention that we were having technical difficulty, but I was just trying to be honest to the people. That's all. Okay. Good morning, Louise Moore.
Good morning. Good morning, Darren.
Everybody, this is my friend, a really good friend of mine, Louise Moore.
Good morning, and glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here too. I'm so honored to share Louise to everybody out there. Some of my friends are familiar with Louise. My family is just adores Louise. She's my neighbor, and she's my partner in crime. We go estate sailing, rummages sailing, and
Like my son said, don't get too much, you'll cave in my house.
I know Jimmy doesn't really like me because I take her out and we bring back lots of stuff, and we're just finding. Well, you have a lot of collections. We'll touch on that later.
Yes.
Well, okay, so we are just going to get right into it and talk to Louise, and she is going to tell us about growing up in Northwest Indiana in the like 19. Am I allowed to say your
Oh,
birth?
you can say my age. I'm 84. I born 1935 to German descendants, and they're both deceased, but they were good parents, and I'm the oldest of 8 children, and lived in the Crown Point area all of my life and enjoyed it. A lot of friends in Crown Point.
Oh yeah, you're very popular. It is amazing that we can go out to lunch and somebody like, oh hey Louise, and you have a nickname for most of the people.
Yes, I do.
She has, she'll tell me, oh, I had lunch with Twinkle Toes, and so everybody's got a name, but yeah, you're very popular.
Yes, and I was in a lot of organizations, so I'll mention that later what organizations I'm in, and that helps a lot. And live right on Main Street in Crown Point, and the parade route goes by there, and so a lot of the people become friends during the 4th of July parade and the St. Patrick's Day parade. So it's a fun time.
Yeah, just don't set up like a tent and your craziness on her property. It gets a little much. I get touchy about that. Because
No.
we've seen that happen before. Like, why is there like a huge tent on your lawn? And sometimes people get a little cocky and they overstep their bounds. And being your friend, that kind of makes me crabby. But yeah. So your dad was a farmer.
Yes. In the area they call Southeast Grove, which is south and east of Crown Point, and he came here in 1933 from Germany and started farming. So, and have a lot of German friends. That time, everybody was German or something.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the ways. Carla, our famous Carla Smolik, who will be on in February, and she'll be talking about right now. She's in Roatan helping out a church down there and helping out the village and stuff. But she'll be coming on in February to talk about that. But I told her I wanted to learn how to make pickles. And she said, are you serious? Okay, go over to my house, knock on the door, tell Louise you want to learn how to make pickles. I'm like, but I don't know Louise. And she's like, oh, you're fine. Just go and do it. She's like, okay, never mind. I'll meet you over there and I'll tell Louise. I'm like, okay. So we spent like the whole day making pickles. And it was like, I like came home and I was so excited because I was like, that was the most awesome day. I just spent it with you making pickles. And the smells and everything reminded me of my family in Iowa, because my grandfather, after he left the farm, they moved to town, and he had a small little garden in his backyard, and all of those smells like came back, and it was like their house again. So it was really kind of a special day, and we've been friends since, like crazy.
And more friends when we go to rummage sales and estate sales. We get
Oh,
more
yeah.
friendly
Yeah.
with truckloads of in the car
Yeah.
full of stuff.
Yeah. All right. So your farm, though, like the farm that your dad grew cucumbers, Like it was a pickle farm.
That was down by Snyder. We had 5 acres of pickles, and we'd take the pickles and I'd pick them every day. Otherwise, they become cucumbers. If you have a pickle, you'll know. And like zucchini, same way. If you have a zucchini today, tomorrow it's going to be a great big monster. And we had to pick them every day in the hot sun all summer. And we took them to Lake Village at that time. We're talking 1950, and we'd take them down there, and they'd get like 10 cents a pound for the little itty bitty ones, and the big ones you got a half a penny for a pound. Well, there was like a lot of big ones, but and my dad raised hogs and turkeys, but we did all the work ourselves on the farm.
Nice. Well, and that's like you and I were talking. I remember we were talking about the zucchinis. And my dad, Mike grew zucchinis one year, and my dad used to come to my house, and he wouldn't lock his doors. And I started saying, "Dad, why are you locking the doors on your car?" He's like, "Because you're growing zucchinis. They'll creep into my car." And he was right, because that was the summer I was pregnant with Ted, and I made over like 19 loaves of zucchini bread because we had so much zucchini. It was like we had like a fenced in area, and the zucchini was like coming into our yard. It was just taking over. So, okay. Well, one of the main reasons why I also wanted to have you on here is a couple months, well, maybe a couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago, one of my friends recommended a podcast to me, and she said, "Oh, you need to listen to this podcast. It talks about Crown Point." So as I'm listening to it, it was about the 1950s.
50, 51, 52, someplace in there.
Yeah.
I was probably a sophomore in high school. No, it's a junior in high school, Lowell High School.
Yeah, and what happened is the government decided that they were going to come to Northwest Indiana and Utah, like a small town, like a small area in Utah. And what they were doing was calling the children in and tattooing their blood types underneath their arms. And I was like, wait, what are they talking about? Because if an atomic bomb came, it would hit Chicago, or it would hit the mines and stuff, the mills in like Northwest Indiana. And what they wanted to do was have the kids ready with blood so they could donate blood to the people. But once they realized that if an atomic bomb went off, there would probably not be survivors, so they stopped doing these tattoos on children. Well, I called Carla and I'm like, "Okay, crazy. I just heard the craziest podcast." She goes, "Oh yeah, Mom's got one." So now I'm going to let you tell your story about how you had the tattoo.
I did have a nice tattoo, O plus, underneath my, above your waistline, so they could just, if the boys were always visible, and they would have it so they could be prepared for a blood test, or blood, whatever, vial blood. And I went in 80, 90, something, 90, to Mayo Clinic to have little process done on my breast, and while I was under, they took this tattoo off and come down to where my husband was sitting and said, there was something there, we didn't know what it was. It had lead in it, but it's not cancer. And he started laughing, and he said, he says, "That was my wife's tattoo." And he said, "What do you mean tattoo?" Well, in the high school, she was tattooed with the blood type, and it was O plus. By this time, all these young punks, doctors up there thought, "Uh-oh, we did it." And they did do it. They had it all off. But all my brothers and sisters, I'm the oldest of 8, have the same thing. We all had it done at the same time.
Okay, so this is what is like crazy to me. They didn't was there a letter that went home and said, "Hey, we're going to tattoo your kids"? I mean, I can't even imagine having the kids come home and be like, "Oh, Mom, I got tattooed." The parents nowadays, they would storm the schools, lawsuits everywhere. I mean, I get it. It was 1950, but did your parents know, or what did they say, or you don't remember?
I don't even remember, but I know Mom and Dad were surprised that we had it, and it came with a blood type card, a laminated card telling you what your blood test was and everything also. So it was, yes, I have no idea. As far as I ever knew, we never were given, we never had a permission slip. Like now, you can't even go to the restroom without a permission slip.
Right.
So I can't imagine, but that's what, years ago, there was nothing like suing like it would do today.
Well, and what the podcast made it sound like, it was like a bunch of farm kids Like it was kind of like, nobody, if they wouldn't, the guy that came up with this was from Chicago. Like they weren't even thinking about doing it to the kids in like the Chicago area. And that's why, like, that kind of made it icky to me. It was like, oh, we'll just do it to these kids in Indiana. Who cares, kind of thing. And that's why I think they picked Utah too. But that's not, I'm just saying that's how I felt when I was listening to the podcast and all of the articles I read. It just was kind of like an icky thing. But like, what are your parents going to do? I mean, it was the government that did it. That's, nowadays, you could be in an uproar, but like, they're saving lives. The government said you had to do it, kind of thing.
Well, you got to remember that years ago in the 50s and 40s and down the line, the majority of your people that lived in your communities were foreigners.
Yeah.
They all came from Germany, Czechoslovakia, all these countries, and they were used to being told where to go and how to get there and what to do. So it was one of those things of, okay, we better do it. We got to listen to the government.
Right.
So this is what I think the same story happens with that.
Yeah, you're right. That's totally true. Okay, well, moving on. Now, you getting married. You were pretty young to get married.
We're all stupid.
Well, I mean, you were 17, 18?
Yes,
And
17.
And you just wanted to get out of the house, or?
Well, I was out of the house. The day I was 18, my brother took me to a house with a room in, and I paid $7 a week there. I worked in a grocery store in Snyder. All you Snyder people, thank you. And I worked in a grocery store down there for a year and a half, and I enjoyed it. But in between time, there was a restaurant across the street that Reno's Rouse's restaurant was called, and he seen that I wasn't eating any meals because this was only a room I rented. I didn't do any work from 8 to 6 every day, and he see I didn't come in to eat. It was the only restaurant in town, and 41 went through Snyder. And he said one day to me, come in the store, and he says, what are you eating every day? And I said, a bologna sandwich. I would cut off a piece of bologna and have a loaf of bread, and that would be it. Oh, he says, we'll settle that. He said, well, every day I want you to come into this restaurant and have, not every day, every Sunday, and wash dishes, and you have a steak dinner. I don't want you to eat a hamburger or anything else. I want you to have a steak dinner. And after that, I felt like I was in heaven. I was having steak and bologna during the week, but I had a steak dinner, and I was very appreciative of that because it made a good camaraderie for me to be with this restaurant man.
Okay, so how did you meet Carl, your first husband?
Blind date.
Blind date?
Yeah, he was German, and that did it. His parents liked me because I was German, and they had known me because they went fishing down where I lived, pretty close to the river there by the Kankakee River, and they went fishing, and they met me someplace along the line. I don't know where, but I was German, and when he brought me home, I was top of the dog, like I was Princess Diane right away.
Well, that's really nice. Okay, so then you guys get married. Now, this is when you lived in the chicken coop?
Yes, we lived in it was actually just a nice big chicken coop. My husband's uncle had it, and his daughter had lived in it. There was no water in it. There was electric, though, and no indoor plumbing, so we had a 2-gallon can on the side, and my husband worked afternoons in Bud Company in Gary, and after he left, and a bird drowned in that water, so it was pitiful. But I only lived there about a year and a half, and then we bought a house that had running water and a heater and everything.
All fancy.
I was fancy, yes.
Now, was that in Crown Point? Or?
No, Lake Village.
Okay.
Lake Village.
Okay.
And I moved to Crown Point in 1963. And
Into the house you're in now?
No. I had a 2-bedroom home, and we got foster children just about a year after we moved in, and that's when we bought the house that I live on South Main Street in Crown Point.
Okay, and then that is okay. So now we have Carla was baby number 1, and then we have Jimmy and Kathy. Not Gus.
Gus.
And then you had the 2. Well, you had tons of foster kids, not just...
Well, the 2 foster boys, I got my license in Labor Day, and the 2 foster boys, John and Paul Tutsa, came to our house that week. And then I had another little girl that came to my house, and she was, when they found her in, I think it was in Griffith, they found her, and she was 3 years old, and she weighed 13 pounds. And she was a little cruel to my foster son John. He would get near him and try to bite him. And but she, her two siblings also were taken from the home because she was eaten off the floor in their home.
Aw.
And she was a cute little girl. And anyway, we had her just about 6 months.
Okay. So basically, I mean, your house right now with just you and Carla, in it, it's pretty, I mean, there's a lot of room. So it was, every nook and cranny was filled with kids at one point.
Right.
Not your collections.
No, I had some.
Well, and I also do like your towel story. You have a collection of towels.
Well, the towel story, that's when we were at home, the oldest of 8. The youngest ones always took a bath first in the tub, round tub, and we put this towel wherever it could dry, and then dry it and be ready for the next one taking a bath. And that's until by the time I was the oldest and it got to me, and I thought, this is going to end. So my first paycheck when I worked in a grocery store was the Finger Hut Manufacturing in Minnesota to buy towels. And I have probably 100 towels right now, and I still have towelphobia because I still buy towels. And
Yeah. I've been with you when you bought towel. And the thing is that what I like is that you're like, I will never, ever have a dirty, wet towel again. You always have a fresh towel.
That I do.
And then some.
Yeah.
But is that part of one of your collections?
No, that's not my collections.
All right. Well, why don't you tell me some of your collections?
Well, I collect cookbooks. I love cookbooks. I sit by hours and put a star by my favorite recipes, and then I probably got 1,200 cookbooks, and I've already given a lot away.
Yeah, we just got some. Mike and I just received like 3 or 4.
Well, that was an incident. I had this old Julia Childs cookbook, and I got the magazine Living, and in there is an article about her cookbook in 1961 or 69, and it was worth $700. I'm like, whoa! And so I give it to Mike Alice. He's got my collection now, but I collect Rachel Ray cookbooks. Paula Dean, I was in Savannah, and I got to meet her son there and her in Savannah. So I collect them. If I go to rummy sales, they got one, I buy it. I need another cookbook like I need a Hona Head, but it's a fascination what they have. And I just got an Elvis Presley cookbook.
I was going to mention that. We just got one at the estate sale.
I paid $1 for it, and I like it better than any of them because they have 2 or 3 items only, and it's instead of having certain crappy flours, they had white flour.
Yeah, like we don't have to go to Whole Foods and get rice flour or blah blah blah. What do you?
I'm saying if you're not, I got a text. Move it over. If you're gonna be,
okay.
You want to cheat out though. You want to be cheating towards the camera at all times.
Okay, we were just told that you guys couldn't hear us.
Correct. No, she's fine. She's great.
Oh, it's me. You can't hear. That's his first. No, I'm not. Nobody can hear me.
Well, they said because you were turning away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry, people.
No.
All right, we're all fixed now. Okay, so what's another thing that you collect?
Paperweights. I have lots of paperweights. I get paperweights that, not those that are made in China or anything like that. I get paperweights that have, they're stamped on the bottom, done in Dunkirk, Indiana, and they're signed. It's a signed paperweight, and I have them in Eastern Stars, all kinds of, it's different. I don't even pick up a China paperweight because they're 1 in a million.
Yeah, you want the rare ones.
Right. I collect dice. All size dices, from little itty bitty ones to big dice, but I got lots of them. And stirrers, like stir for a coffee, and it started out many years ago. We had friends that ran a hotel in Chicago, and they had them. And then when we traveled, we'd go to different little restaurants and pick up a stir. And one of the most unique one I think right now is the stir from McDonald's that had a McDonald's signal on the top, little thing, and it had a little spoon. They used that for uh, drugs, so they disbanded. But I have a lot of them. But stirs from like casinos and all across in Europe. I've just picked up stirs. So
Yeah, I think you gave us some. You had some extra ones, and when we put a bar in,
Oh, yeah.
Mike, he was like, "Oh, we need stirs," and you were like, "Well, I have some. I have an extra couple, so we do have some stirs from you."
And I collect NASCAR paraphernalia. I worked at NASCAR. First one I worked at NASCAR in Daytona Beach in 2002, and I worked down there, and I worked on all of them all across country and then I worked every Indianapolis 500 race since 2002, and I enjoyed that very much. One of the most interesting ones working at NASCAR was in Las Vegas at the infield. We parked motorhomes at these NASCAR functions, and we parked motorhomes, and then in Las Vegas, that's where we parked on the infield. And then I tried to take pictures of the NASCAR cars, but they go so fast your eyeballs don't even go that fast. And so I would, they had an accident, and the cars would all stop, and I took my camera, went along the fence line, and took the pictures of all the drivers, and I got a lot of nice ones. And I enjoyed that because I had a lot of friends that we did worked with, and when you work with a group all over the country, from coast to coast, Daytona, at Talladega, I worked, and I was the museum. They had a big, nice museum there on the grounds, like they do at Indianapolis 500. And this elderly gentleman, probably not as old as I am, but he said, "You collect the books, the programs?" And I said, "Not collect them. Just when I go to all these races, I pick up a book." He said, "Well, I bet you would like this one." And he had a book. That was the year that Earnhardt got killed in Florida, Daytona, and he had it there with the ticket and a little car, all in with him. And I thought, oh, here he goes. He's gonna, arm and a leg for it. And I said, "How much you want for it?" And he said, "Oh, $15. And I have that still in the original package, the whole thing. And I collect anything with NASCAR, anything from coast to coast.
Yeah.
And Indianapolis 500, I have all the programs, and it's quite an adventure because people are nice when they're there.
Yeah.
It's really nice, and you're camping with people that are in the same, what they like to do.
Right. You found a bunch of campers to hang out with.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then when we get back, we're going to go into talking about how you travel and how many places you've been and what were your favorite places and all that other good stuff.
Her wealth of knowledge in the area of pain management, plus her ability to communicate the process, makes you feel like a star. The practice is growing for all the right reasons. Call and set up an appointment before her client book is full. Call 219-322-4036 and tell them you heard about it right here on Ron Harlow Media. Dr. Tori's Dental Shop is located at 130 East Joliet Street in Cherville at 219-322-4036. Call and feel better about every dental visit you ever have again.
Spend the holidays with us in downtown Hammond, Indiana. You'll have a fun and festive time while supporting small and local businesses. Enjoy shopping, dining, brewery, the arts, and events. Like and visit the Downtown Hammond Council on Facebook for a listing of where to go and what to do. Call Karen at 219-512-4298 between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Hammond is happening.
Looking for a friend who knows how to be a good listener? Humane Indiana in Munster has four-legged friends waiting to meet you. Open daily at 11 a.m., Humane Indiana provides many animal services from rescue to daily care. They provide on-site education while managing a wildlife preserve. At the main facility located at 421 45th Street, the staff awaits your visit. Ron Harlow Media would like to thank Director Brian Fitzpatrick and Board Vice President Scott Filler from Apex Construction and Remodeling for their support. Visit Humane Indiana and leave with a new member of the family. To find out more, visit the Humane Indiana website or dial 219-922-3811.
We are taking the hassle out of holiday shopping at It's Just Serendipity. Gifts for everyone on your shopping list for every budget. We carry everything vintage and antique, handcrafted, upcycled, and repurposed goods by local artists, yummies prepared by local vendors such as honey, toffee, and biscotti. Carry decor, memorabilia, and custom gift baskets. Shop small with us at 5630 Homan Avenue in downtown Hammond, Indiana. Like It's Just Serendipity on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, or visit our website, itsjustserendipity.com.
All right, we're back. I hope you enjoyed those commercials. Oh, sorry, we're a little too loud. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna go back to your traveling because I since I grew up with my Uncle Severino, who was always, he lived in a trailer and he would hitch it up. It got too cold, he was out of here. He would, and we noticed that he was leaving earlier and earlier. Like he used to leave like right after Thanksgiving, and all of a sudden it was like October. Nope, it's getting too cold. I'm out of here. And he would go across, like he would go down to Florida or he'd go across to California. So I think it's super cool that you did the same thing at one point.
Well, we started camping already way back and went across country. In 1967, we had 6 of us, 3 foster children and my 3 children, and we toured. We got we had a fold down at that time, and we got like all the way across, and we got into Barstow, California, and had a blowout on a. Well, before that, we was in Needles, California, and it was 120 degrees that evening, and we stayed there at a little place overnight because I said, I'm not going to cross the desert at night, so we didn't. So the next morning we got up, and there's like my foster son, John Tutsa, I heard a eek, 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 eek. I said, John, what's that? He said, it's a salamander and a snake's fighting. By this time, I'm in the car. I didn't care if we ever got hooked up. So we went on into Barstow, California, and got 2 new tires on them little camper. The little camper tires are like bicycle tires. Mm-hmm. And we got just out of town, no more than probably 6 miles, and we had a blowout. Well, here we are. I'm stranded on interstate south of Barstow and scared to death I was going to get picked up by somebody. I don't know what I thought, but I had 6 kids in the car, and a county truck picked my husband up, and went to the station again, and they came out and put 2 new tires on it, and that we got it fixed. And so we went on into California to visit my brother. And the next year, we had a different kind of camper. We had a pull-type camper, just a camper. And I said, I want to see the Atlantic Ocean. So off we went, Route 30 all the way. And if you ever want to take a trip,
that is one of my bucket list things. I want to go from Route 30 like to coast, because my dad, when he was living in Iowa, he built it. Some of Route 30 for his college job. Well, that's what he told us.
Well, we went to the Atlantic Ocean and right back again, and I'll never forget, we stopped in one of the towns and got stuffed lobster. Oh. And my daughter Kathy, she don't like fish. I didn't even like the smell of it. So my son Jim Worst, W-O-R-S-T, sat on a picnic bench outside, and we had our lobster. It was delicious. But we always landed, I don't know, our mother cat always had to have kittens about that time. Her name was Whiskers, and we put her kittens in the trailer, and she was in the car with us.
You brought a cat with you.
We brought a cat with us, and Whiskers was our buddy for many years. So anyway, and then after that, we bought a motorhome in 1972, and I said all I wanted for as a motorhome was a steering wheel and a bathroom. I was tired of stopping at every filling station with the kids, because I always had to have foster kids, and sometimes as high as 5 foster kids. And I said, I want a bathroom in there. I don't have to stop at every filling station. So that's we got a cheap motorhome. It was $9,000. I drove up to Edwardsburg, Michigan, and picked it up, brought it home, and then my husband passed away in 1972, and we still had that motorhome. And I met my second husband a year later, and he had a Fort Travel motorhome, which was 36 foot and was a beautiful motorhome. And I've traveled that, and he passed away in 2000, and I drove it for about 3 more years afterwards, and sold it to a man in Fairbanks, Alaska. But we've traveled. I've been in all 48 states. I've been to Alaska twice, and went on a 15-day cruise to Hawaii. So I've been everywhere, and I went to Germany with my daughter Carla, and so we've traveled. I've traveled a lot of the world.
Yeah. And well, okay. Now, what was your favorite place?
I think Alaska would probably be the favorite because it's so primitive up there yet. And it's cold. You dig down just about 3 inches in the ground, and it's still it's frozen down there.
Good Lord. And now, did you go during the summer, or did you go?
Oh no, you don't travel up to Alaska in the winter time.
Yeah, well, I was about to say that's crazy talk.
Nobody
right?
wants to go on vacation to Minnesota even on winter time, so that's why you go to Florida and Arizona.
So you've been, and then yesterday you were telling me you've been to the North Pole?
Twice. Well, it's on the Elkhorn Highway, so I went to North Pole twice.
Oh, very cool. Okay, let's talk about all of the clubs that you're in. I know of one of them because you introduced my husband to the Lions Club, and but I just think it's so amazing that you're so involved in your community.
Well, when you have children, I started out with being a caterer. I had my own catering business, my husband and I, in the back of a 1969 car. And I went from one job to another, and it was called the Worst Catering Service. My last name was Worst, so that was the Worst Catering Service. And my daughters helped me, and we did a lot of weddings and bar mitzvahs and whatever you want to name. And it was good because whatever was left we could eat all week.
Oh,
We'd
that's
eat
nice.
it. Yeah, with our family. And it was we met a lot of nice people that direction too. But and the clubs that I belong to, it's called Daughter of the Nile. It's a women's shrine. And we do about the same thing as the men do in the Shrines Club. And I belong to that. It's out of Fort Wayne right now. And we had it in Michigan City, but we didn't have enough people coming to it, so they had to sort of disperse us to Fort Wayne. And I belong to the Crown Point Lions Club, which I have belonged to it about 15, 16 years now. And my son and his wife, Donna, introduced me to that, and I've enjoyed it. I like the bingos that they have.
That's good people. I mean, there's just really good people there.
We have an attendance of about 25 to 30 every meeting, and we meet at Pappas's in Crown Point, and it's on a Thursday evening, the first and third Thursday, and we just have a nice time there.
Well, and that's just it. It's like if you want to become a member or like part of the Crown Point, all you do is have to reach out and you can do it. It's like, and it was like Mike was in this weird thing where he had his Civil War, but that was like once in a while, and he kind of wanted something. And so when you said, hey, you want to be my date to Lions Club? He jumped on it. He was so excited because it was like a time for him to be him, kind of thing. And then you guys keep on trying to bring me into it, and I'm not giving up my bingo night. Sorry.
Well, Mike is a very good person because he gets along with all the men that are there,
Yeah.
and the men are really nice. We got some good secretaries, and it's a good fun thing what people do.
Yeah.
In fact, right now, we talked about Carla. The Lions Club collect eyeglasses. They took the eyeglasses and Dr. Sheila Bogart from Crown Point tested them all, and she had them all in totes, and she's leaving this Saturday for Honduras, and she will be putting a lot of the kids that can't afford it, they'll know who they are. It's like all of Honduras, and she's going to fit them with glasses starting this coming Saturday. She's leaving Saturday, and she'll be down there a week. So we got to really thank Sheila Bogart from Crown Point Optometrist doing this and getting interested in it. She's been going down there every year, but not with glasses like she did this year.
Well, and that's like, you can say thank you to all the people that come, and because if you bring in extra eyeglasses, you get an extra bingo card. So,
Right.
I mean, you're talking boxes and boxes of glasses at the end of
Right.
the night. So that, I mean, that is something huge, and it's good to know that that's where they're going after
Right.
after all of the donations and stuff people have made.
The cases, they used to just throw them away, and we have a young man, he found out the VA hospital can use the cases, so we bring them to the VA hospital, and they are using the eye cases, and which some are beautiful, beautiful. You know,
Oh, yeah.
when you get a Gucci glass, you get a Gucci case with it. And I belong to the Order of the Eastern Star, which is part of the Masonic group. And I belong to the Garden Club, Crown Point Garden Club, which meets once a month also on a Thursday at the Methodist Church, the first Thursday of the month at 1 o'clock at the Methodist Church in Crown Point. And I've been very active in it, and I've had a garden walk in my house, and done things with the Garden Club. They decorate the Crown Point courthouse. A lot of the things that are done around the courthouse is done by the Garden Club. Down by the fairgrounds, they have flowers around the bridge, a covered bridge, and that's done by the Garden Club. And they also have one of those big rocks. I can't tell you right off the top of my head. It's a big rock on the southwest corner of the courthouse that the Garden Club provided here a few years ago.
Now, is that why you rode in the 4th of July parade?
Oh, we was grand marshals in the 4th of July parade. We was in Molly the Trolley, and we got to be grand marshal, and I never felt so good in all my life.
And you were absolutely beautiful up there in your little sundress, and it was really cool. Finally people are recognizing the true Crown Point person.
I belong to the South Lake Christian Church, which we are just moving into our new office today. It's on Pratt Street in Crown Point, and they're just moving into the new office today. They want everybody at the old office to move the office equipment to the new church. So we're really feeling good.
Well, and that's another. I mean, there's millions of reasons why I love you, but I mean, that was another thing. You were just like, the men were going out for breakfast, and you're like, well, that's phooey. I'm going to take all the women out to breakfast. So you organized that too.
Yes, I did, but we don't want to travel in the wintertime. We would go to on Broadway, the restaurant there, or the Brothers on 30, or Pappas, or someplace. But we don't want to. Us women don't want to be out on the road in wintertime. So we have left it go till the 1st of April, and we'll go doing it again.
Yeah, but that's a great thing for like women and fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
And did you say that sometimes your pastor crashes it and comes and sees you girls?
Well, he crashes us on Sunday after, because he likes, our minister is Perry McLemore, and he likes whole catfish.
Oh.
So we have a restaurant in Crown Point that serves whole catfish. Can't say it fast.
I know, that's a tough one.
And so I order, and he orders one. I get him one, so he has a whole 3 catfishes for dinner.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of catfish.
It is.
Okay, so let's talk about another great accomplishment of yours. Kids, grandkids, great-grandkids. I mean, you have plethora of family.
Yes.
So total kids.
I don't even know.
Okay. And that's awesome. Everybody's welcome.
Yeah, I call everybody my son or my daughter because, like, Sheila Bogart's my daughter and I love her. But anyway, I had three children of my own and I adopted two children. They were foster children and I adopted them, Bobby and Lori Wurst. Bobby spent 21 years in the United States Army and he's retired and lives in Chesapeake, Virginia. And Lori lives in Virginia Beach. And I had my three children, Carla, Jimmy, and Kathy, and they all live. Kathy lives in Hebron, Carla lives with me, and Jimmy lives in Crown Point. And then I had 55 different foster children, and I couldn't keep in track with them because many of them I named them from the hospital, or they were brought to me as babies and were adopted out very early in time. But I have a family of three that Dawn and Little Lori and Big Jimmy, or Little Jimmy, because I had their names were Lori and Jimmy, and I had a Lori and Jimmy already. So, but they live in Georgia, and she calls me. Dawn calls me often to say hello and Mom, I love you, or something. But
okay, grandkids.
I have, let's see, Jimmy, I gotta do it.
I should have told you beforehand that I was gonna want to tally.
Jimmy has two, Carla has one, and Kathy has two, Bobby has two, and Lori has one. So that's grandkids.
Okay, and then we have all the great grandkids.
Yeah, well, and we've got some other body, second marriage kids or whatever. So
well, and that's just it. Is like Carla brought all of her family together, regardless of what happened with the husband and the ex-wife or whatever. Carla welcomed all those kids as hers. Yep. So now that that expanded your family, and so you have like a plethora of and not. And you're always looking out for them. That's what I like too. Like we're at an estate sale and you're like, oh my gosh, my great grandson would like this. Mm. So, and you pick it up. Andy's going to look really silly in that little, Superman costume. Well, Andy is your oldest.
Yes.
And he just bought a new house.
No, he's not the oldest. No. Jimmy's daughter is the oldest.
Oh,
Jamie.
Okay.
Jamie's the oldest, and she lives in Crown Point and works at BP. Jamie Wurst, and she works at BP. And she was in service for 2 years, too.
Wow. Gosh. Well, see, good thing you're keeping track. I get lost.
Well.
Okay. Let's talk about estate sales, because that is... Really? There is a given day where I'm like, wow, there's a bunch of estate sales, and I really don't want to go alone. I could just pick up the phone, and you're like, I'll be in my driveway in 2 minutes. So I can just come and grab you and we go.
Yes. I've missed a few meetings in Crown Point, like with Carla's crafty grannies. I get sick about Tuesday already for Friday or something. But yes, I do enjoy. And my granddaughter, Colette from Couts, comes in every Thursday. She's coming tomorrow. And we go someplace rummaging or going somewhere, but Colette comes in. Colette Fulmer is her name. Comes in every Thursday, and we go someplace. Sometimes it's soup and salad. We go someplace, and then we go to soup and salad at the Presbyterian Church. They have a nice meal there for us, and we get to see all the people again. And then we go to rummage sales all over the community.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. I think that's great that. Well, I call her Sissy because Carla told me that I have to call her Sissy because she's like a sister. So Sissy, I think it's so cool that you and Sissy go out and like spend the whole day together. And I think that sometimes that we get so busy that we forget about our grandparents or aunt and uncles and stuff like that. And like to have that special bond where you guys are out and about and spending the day together is really, really cool. I think so. And you're bonding over junk. Well, treasures, other people's junk.
Well, we call it stuff. But we do have a lot of things in common. We buy things, whatever, and maybe for crafts or I'd buy a lot of things for like something like right now I've got a box started. There's a man in Methodist Church that has a bingo for like a corn roast during their corn roast, and I buy things for his he gives them away as bingo prizes, and I buy things for that or crafts or whatever.
Well, and that's the other thing is that when we are at estate sales, yes, you're looking for you, but there's also you're always thinking about somebody else. You're buying baskets so that you could create baskets for the shut-ins and for I can't even think, Meals on Wheels, and you're getting Beanie Babies for kids at your church or whatever. You're always looking out for others as well.
Well, I just give 20 Beanie Babies to one of the members of the Methodist Church, Phyllis Robinson. She knows a teacher that teaches, and they leave the Beanie Baby in her pocket, and they sort of talk to the Beanie Baby like it's a guest or something. And I give her 20 of them to pick out what she wants to use for the school classes, and she was all excited about it. I probably have 200 more because I get them and I put them in baskets. I did it for Christmas, and I do it for Meals on Wheels. I make up baskets. I buy them wherever I can and put fruit in it and a Beanie Baby, a towel that's pretty, a Christmas towel, or anything that the people might use.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's another one of speaking of fruit baskets and stuff. You told me a story when you lived in Schneider. Is that how I say it?
Snyder.
Yeah, Snyder. Okay. About Rockefeller, was that it?
Yeah, it was.
Well, I'm remembering. We're together so much, and I love, I just let you talk, and you'll tell me about all of the, history and stuff, and I just adore it. I love it. Okay.
Well, we lived south of Lowell, and I don't know if anybody remembers, but Bobo Rockefeller, the Rockefellers from New York City, her parents lived south of Lowell. And at Christmas time, Bobo and the business people in Snyder would go together and get bags and give a gift for every child. And Bobo Rockefeller was involved in it, and I got to meet Bobo Rockefeller, which at that time was like, I didn't care about Bobo Rockefeller, I just wanted that gift. And it was such a blessing to have somebody like her come to Crown Point, or to Snyder, which is a ghost town anytime, and brought us money to buy. They give us a bag with gifts in and fruit and everything. And then we had a neighbor. His name was John Snyder. The town of Snyder was named after him, and he would bring us a case of oranges every Christmas. And I can't imagine how fast we ate those oranges. 8 kids in a box of oranges didn't take very long, but because we didn't get fruit, and my parents didn't have money for fruit. But anyway, I remember it was just in a nice bag, and we got a gift.
Well, and what I liked about it is that you said that sometimes that was the only Christmas gift that you got. Because of the times. And
yeah, it was. And my brother, that was the same age as Bobo's son, he was the governor of Arkansas, Winthrop Rockefeller. He had beautiful clothes, and my brother, Junior Henry Crow, got all of his hand-me-downs. He was the best dressed kid in town.
That is, see, I never heard that story. Now that's an awesome story. Another one of my favorite stories is you and I were driving, and you were talking about the Poor Farm. And I was like, Louise, there is no way that Crown Point named a place for farmers to retire, right?
It was only farmers. It was everybody that was poor.
Okay, so I'm like, that cannot be the name of it. So I went and I asked Janine Letcher, who works for the Crown Point Library, and she works in the history section. She goes, oh no, it was totally called the Poor Farm. I had to call you back, and I had to apologize because I felt so bad. So now you can explain that, like what it was and the history of that being in Crown Point.
Well, the Poor Farm was east of Crown Point, and it was the Poor Farm. It was people that didn't have, like now, $3,000 a month. They were poor, and some of them had gardens on the outside around the north side of the building. Any place they would have just a garden. Maybe they had 2 or 3 tomato plants, and they would use the vegetables from the garden for the Poor Farm. And it closed up like all the other poor farms in Crown Point, and the convalescent home was closed up, and all these people then they could not afford, if you've seen where they came from,
Yeah.
they were poor. That's why they called it, I don't even know if it had another name. We just knew it was a poor farm.
Well, that's what I asked Janine. I was like, well, was there like a proper name? Like, I can't imagine like a sign outside that says Poor Farm or anything like that. And she's like, no, it was called the Poor Farm. And that's just the way it was. I was like, wow. I mean, and that to me was like, I felt so bad that I kept on telling you were crazy.
I am sometimes.
Well, yeah, that's why we get along so well. All right, I'm out of questions. Is there anything else that you want to?
Oh, yes, I have
you
something.
You can talk all day too.
Good time for break then.
Okay.
Okay. Well, why don't you have something?
Well, I was going to talk about the 1936 Dodge truck, the ice truck in my.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. We could talk about that, and then
After we come back.
Okay, we'll do that after we come back. Well, now I'm on the spot.
Yeah, you are.
Is that okay? I'm doing okay?
I think you're doing great. Would you like to sign a contract after the
No.
Hey! You could just take over the Cheeky Mom show.
Cheeky Mom, Cheeky Foster Mom.
Yeah?
Hey, do you know someone by the name of Pat Melby?
Yeah. She lives on South Street down to town. Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like you. She's like you.
She's not well, is she? Or
Not great, but
No,
she's
'cause-
still fostering like crazy.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. Full house full.
Okay, I'm going to commercial.
Five.
Dr. Tori's Dental Shop in Cherville is a dentist to the stars. Her wealth of knowledge in the area of pain management, plus her ability to communicate the process, makes you feel like a star. The practice is growing for all the right reasons. Call and set up an appointment before her client book is full. Call 219-322-4036 and tell them you heard about it right here on Ron Harlow Media. Dr. Tori's Dental Shop is located at 130 East Joliet Street in Cherville at 219-322-4036. Call and feel better about every dental visit you ever have again.
Experience Broadway in Northwest Indiana. Established as the top provider of entertainment, Theater at the Center in Munster brings you the best in live theater, music, and comedy without city prices and parking hassle. With its elegant setting and superb talent, Theater at the Center in the Round makes each production must-see. 5-star dining is optional for select shows in each of the Thursday night performances. For show dates, times, and prices, visit theateratthecenter.com or call 219-836-3255. Ask about becoming a subscriber. Discounted tickets and priority seating are just a few of the benefits you'll receive. Call 219-836-3255. Theater at the Center. You'll leave impressed. Now listen to Harlow tell you about what's on stage right now. Since 1964, Springer Realty has been helping homeowners save thousands when buying or selling their home. Springer Realty is locally owned, provides full service start to finish, and will handle all the paperwork and details. Why pay those high commissions in a seller's market when one phone call can literally save you thousands? Visit us at SpringerSellsHomes.com or call 219-838-0180. Springer Realty.
Have you played today? Playful activity can be anything from taking a walk to your favorite neighborhood deli to picking up a game of soccer with your friends. But most importantly, bringing a playful mindset to everyday life can elevate your mood, increase your energy, and your thirst for life. I'm Crystal, the Playful Trainer. I'm a health, life, and fitness coach. It's my passion to help you find playful ways to get you active, achieve your health goals, and live a more fulfilling life. My new book, The Playful Journal, has been featured on the Make My Day podcast, TuneIn radio show, and in the Northwest Indiana Times. I'm available for individual, group, and online coaching, or I'd love to speak at your next event. You can find me at theplayfultrainer.com or on Facebook or Instagram. Stay playful.
That's right, Aaron. Ron Harlow here from Ron Harlow Media, letting you know what's going on at Theater at the Center, the place to see great shows. The next event is February 7th. It's comedy at the CVPA, hosted by our dear friend Nick Geza. Headlining is Chicago anchorman Mike Toomey. The show's Friday, February 7th. The dinner show starts at $6:30 for $45. If you just want to come to the comedy night, it's $30 inside the Theater at the Round. Show starts at 8. Cash bar available. Please call 219-836-3255 or go to theateratthecenter.com to find out more. The next staged production is Almost Heaven, the John Denver story. So check out all the great stuff going on there. Back to you, Cheeky Moms.
Well, thank you so much, Ron. All right, so we are going to talk about one more thing in your house, or two things.
I don't know why I've got one going.
Well, I don't know what Jimmy's doing in your house, so.
Okay, my son Jim has a 1936 Dodge truck. Actually, it's in the garage, but all the parts and everything but the framework is in the garage yet, but all of it's in my house. And it's a 1936 Dodge truck, original ice truck of Crown Point, owned by Herman Jabins. And Herman was the Iceman for years and years at Crown Point. If you'd ever know what we're talking about, they used to take ice out of Cedar Lake and Fancher Lake and put it in big, tall buildings, brick buildings, wrapped it in straw, and then they would put it into ice trucks and brought it around town, just drove around town and sold it. And this truck was for sale in the years 1971. I think I bought it from Jabins's daughter, and the Crown Point High School band was going to Europe with Mr. Castanova, and the granddaughter needed money to go, and so they sold this old truck, and we parked it in the garage, and it's been there. Now my son has taken it all apart piece by piece. Hopefully he wants it almost restored original. So anybody that has any knowledge of the Crown Point ice truck will be glad to see it come back. It is on the Crown Point Quilters Club during the bicentennial, which is 1976. One of the women, Mrs. Gentleman, embroidered a picture of the old truck onto the quilt. And when I seen the quilt, I said to her, I says, "Do you know where that truck's at?" "No, I don't know." I says, "It's in my garage." She was absolutely surprised. And it's a beautiful truck when it gets done. I hope I live long enough to see it done, and Jim too, but it's something we can look forward to, really.
Right.
So, but he's got a little sanding machine in the garage. And that's where he's doing all the sanding, and he's taking a motor and giving it to somebody to take and remodel, and it's just been a real pleasure to get it done.
Well, and it's like really cool because it's like something like he comes over and you can visit with him,
right.
And it's an excuse for him to come over and visit his mom, and he needs to finish it though.
Yeah.
I would like to see that in the 4th of July parade.
I would too. Dad's dream.
He's got TikTok, Jim. Get that done.
That's right.
All right. Well, I can't tell you enough how much I'm really happy that you came. And do you want to help me talk about this craziness that I'm going to talk about?
Just start out.
You want to voice some opinions on it? I mean, because it is.
I don't know too much about it, but
well, I didn't either. My friend John sent me this link, and supposedly this is really huge in England right now. And I don't know I think it's trad wives or traditional wives, whatever. It's a new thing where wives are being submissive to their husbands, and they want to bring back like the 1950s, and they want to get the husband controls everything, and they would like to meet him at the door. They want he is top priority in their lives. So I was like laughing hysterical. Mike was like, "Hey, I'm not opposed to this. If you want to make me like the center of your universe." We both had a great laugh because that's not going to happen. And but it was crazy because the more that I started to read about it, like some of these women, I'm just like, you are crazy. This shouldn't even be a thing. But then it was like, part of me was thinking, I kind of can relate to some of the things that they are talking about. So I did highlight one because this is what made me laugh, and this is not how I am as a wife. Let me get all my notes all together. So this is a quote from one of the women that they interviewed on the BBC. And she says, I always tidy my hair, check my makeup, and spritz on some perfume that I know my husband loves. And I'm ready to greet him as he steps through the door. It's a sign of love and respect for my husband and vital for my own self-esteem, as it shows him that I fancy him as much as I did when we got together. It keeps the zing in our marriage. What man wants to be greeted by someone in a tracksuit bottom and not at all? All right. Well, let me start by saying Mike is not getting greeted at any door. And you were in the 50s. Did you greet your husband at the door? You had like how many kids in your house at the time?
I started in 1963 of fostering, but I would have never greeted him at the door because I was ready to make supper and get it together.
Well, that's just it. It's kind of like when Mike comes home, I'm trying to get the dinner on the table. In the past, I've been helping kids with homework, and the last thing I'm going to do is be showered and pearls and spritz his favorite perfume. I don't even know if I have any perfume to spritz. So that to me was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Yes, if this is the way she wants to live, that I am totally for it. Like, but the whole thing with, I felt under attack with the tracksuit on, because tracksuit, yoga pants, that's what I'm all about. That's what I'm wearing when Mike gets home. If I'm even out of dressed. Some days my kids are like, you're getting dressed. Where are you going? Because it's just pajamas. Because if I'm not going anywhere, why do I want to?
I would feel happy if that was said with a mistress or somebody, but it sounds like a love story trying to schmooze somebody. It wouldn't be my cup of tea.
Well, and I think that's what they're trying to do. Is I think that they're thinking that the 1950s and they're romanticizing it, and it's kind of like, I don't think it was like that. I don't think it was like, Beaver or Leave It to Beaver. I think that's the problem, is that people are like so obsessed with TV shows and stuff that they think that that's the way that these people actually lived. And from what I can tell, I know that didn't happen in my mother's household. I mean, my grandma was very cold and very crabby most of the time. These are just the memories I have of her. I can't see her waiting for my grandpa at the door with pearls and no, whatever. Okay, but as I was reading this, there are problems with it because, of course, you get some people, saying this is the way we want to live. Well, you always have to have somebody ruin it and take it to an extreme. And that's the problem that they're having in England now, is that they were saying that a lot of white supremacists and neo-Nazi people are like, well, that's a great idea. Let's keep the woman barefoot and pregnant and keep her, in the house with no social life so that we can control her. So that part I don't really like. And I didn't like the fact that any major purchases, it was the husband's decision and nothing else, because it was his money. So she was supposed to just sit there and nod her head. Like, she wanted to go to a different location for their vacation. And he says, no, I don't want to ever go there.
Yeah, but that's Europe. Europe does a lot of that. The man is the authority. If you go watch some of these funerals that are going on, you never see a lady at the funeral or any of that thing. So that's a European. We don't want it here.
Well, and they were talking about how a lot of feminists are like, what are you doing? We fought for you to have rights and just stand up for yourself. And here's where I'm conflicted, because when Mike and I decided to have kids, my income would just cover daycare. So my theory was like, okay, well, why would we be paying $30,000? Because that's how much I was making. Why would we be paying $30,000 for somebody else to raise our kid?
That's right.
So we bought our house with just Mike's income in mind. And if I brought home money, which I really didn't because I didn't have time with all my damn kids, but now I have more time. But before it was like, we would do what we had to do. And yes, we didn't go on lavish vacations, but you just make do.
That's right.
And my kids, I will never forget. We were driving home one day, and we were passing one of the daycares near our home, and Jack saw all of the kids in a single file line going into the thing and into the building, and he says, "What's that? Is that a school?" And I said, "Well, yeah, it's kind of a school. It's a daycare." And he's like, "What's a daycare?" And I said, "Well, that's a daycare where moms have to work and they put their kids in daycare." And he said, "Oh, well, why didn't you put me in daycare?" And I said, "Well, do you want to go to daycare?" No. I like you being home. I like you being home. So my thing is if we can afford it, yeah, we don't have like crazy lavish stuff, but if we can afford to live on Mike's salary and then my kids can have this, then we're going to do it.
That's right.
And so that's where I'm like, oh gosh, does this mean that I'm one of those wives? But at the same time, I am not about to meet Mike at the door. I love him. I love you, babe. I just am not going to be spritzing nothing and meeting you at the door. I think that's a little like too much. So, but like I said, you probably, like you were just saying that in the, 1950s and 60s, last thing on your mind was to dress up and meet him at the door.
I always was, out of pin curls or something, but and he knew that I was busy all day. So, it's a different story if you're not doing anything and you want to meet him at the door and feel like a princess. Okay, that's okay. But it's not necessity.
Right, and don't bash the people that can't.
No.
And that's the other thing is that I found out that, like, it's like one of those things, because I know when I was an at-home mom, there were moms that were like, "Oh, you don't have a real job." Well, yeah, I do have a real job. It's raising my kids. Yeah. I mean, and some moms are okay with, with their choices. I never have bashed a mom for going to work. I mean, power on, women, do what you do. It just wasn't for me. In my career, it was like, I did admin paperwork. It wasn't like I was changing the world. Well, I was. I mean, a lot of my CAPS employees or coworkers would say I was pretty amazing there.
But I would like to have a survey of how many kids turn out different than with the parent home, or the ones that are working all the time they don't do surveys like that. They don't it's like okay, the mom, you're going to go to that school and you got to go that time and everything. It's compulsory that you send your kid to preschool. Oh, come on, wait a minute.
Well, and that's just it, because I remember as a kid, what Hazel learned in preschool is crazy to me. What I learned in preschool, we were coloring in the lines. She's learning sight words. I mean, and because I have kids, I know what a sight word is now. But before I didn't know, and it was kind of like when you put them into a public school and they're not up to snuff, they could be held back in kindergarten. And I just remember my mom throwing us into school and.
Well, that's like we moved from Snyder to Crown Point in 1963, November of 1963, and my son Jim would have gone to kindergarten in Lake Village, but we didn't have kindergarten down there. So we moved up here, and right away they said, "Oh no, you can't start kindergarten now. It's too late because it was already November." So he went right into first grade, and I think he knew more about first grade than the ones that went to kindergarten, and because we played school at home.
Yeah.
We had picnic old benches and we played school at home. Carla was a teacher and she's still that way.
Yeah.
And we played school, and Jimmy went right into first grade at Timothy Ball School in Crown Point. Anyone else? I mean, we didn't have preschool. We didn't have anything. It just we didn't need that, If the parents are there to do it with them, traveling is one of the best teachers there is to see everything in the world. You go to, I'm just saying, the Statue of Liberty, Niagara Falls, just mountains. That's, to me, that's the best thing in the world is traveling. And
that's where I feel like a jerk, because my dad was like bringing us to like all of the battlefields and all of the history that he was like giving us. And I was a teenager and I like, oh my God, Dad, can we just go to the beach? This is so late. And now I'm like kicking myself like, oh my gosh, that would have been so awesome. And he's the one that brought us to like Civil War reenactments.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was kind of like he was so interested in it. And that's why it's a shame that he's not around anymore, because Mike does the Civil War reenactments. And I know he would get a kick out of it. And he would be so interested in like Mike's, we have guns, but they're Civil War guns. And just all of that stuff. My dad would have been all over. So, yeah. But I agree with you. I think travel is key. And that's one of the reasons why when we go down to Florida, we drive down. I mean, not only is it kind of cheaper, but at the same time, it's like my kids are seeing places.
That's right.
And that's why I really am glad that we could afford for them to go back and see England and see where Mike, came from. And well, I mean, we saw family members, which was huge and awesome, but at the same time, it was kind of like they were just like, oh gosh, Dad's really close to the wall right there, kind of stuff, because everything's so different. And we tricked Ted into eating fish, and it was a good time.
Oh, it's like a chicken of the sea.
Yeah, Ted, it's chicken of the sea. Well, they had little fish nuggets.
Oh.
And like for the kids, fish and chips, and we're like, it's a nugget, it's a nugget.
One of the first big trips that we took was in 1963, and we had a little Nash Rambler car, and my great-grandfather, my husband's great-grandfather, built a platform in the back so the kids could sleep back there. Well, we landed out in Black Hills at night. We was going to go up early in the morning, go to a motel, and go early in the morning to go see the Four Faces, for Mount Rushmore. And so we got up early in the morning, and well, we had to sleep in the car overnight in the Nash Rambler couldn't have the windows down because the mosquitoes were bad and it was raining, all the same thing, So here we are, 3 children and 2 adults sleeping in the Nash Rambler that was as big as a bathtub. And we got to the Four Faces, and that was one of the first things that, the first historical things that my kids learned. And when on the way back again, we went all the way to Mackinac Island, and we did the Mackinac Island thing. And my daughter Kathy, somebody wanted to take our picture with the big motel on the back on, and she cried the whole time that the guy was taking a picture. She was like 3 years old, and we drove all the way home from Mackinac Island back to Crown Point in one day because we didn't have $7 for a motel for the night. So that's history. Kids remember that first time they see Mount Rushmore. That was.
And Carla posted that picture online.
Oh, but
and Gus was crying.
Yeah, Gus is her nickname. Anybody that travels with us, Gus is her nickname.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's like that, and that Carla still has that bug. Like she always wants to travel, and she does good things out there. So
I do too. I love to travel.
Yeah. Okay, so what one place do you want to go? Or have you seen it all? You're good.
I'd like to stay overnight at Mackinac Island one night because it's like real expensive. But one night I'd just like to spend someplace, or a bed and breakfast or someplace. I've been in motorhomes. When we sleep in a motorhome traveling, we never go to a park to park it. We have a generator. We have everything. That's why they're full service. And we stay at casinos, Walmart, any place that they let us stay, churches, and we stay there. And then we find some place where they, like most gas stations, Flying J has a place to dump their water and whatever, and we can get water there. And we don't hook up. We're not doing it for $50 a night. You can stay in a motel. We have our own motel. So that's one of the things. But I'd like to go to Mackinac Island or someplace where it's a nice hotel.
Mike and I will be married 20 years in April, and I looked into staying at the Grand Hotel in Mackinac Island. I was like, oh my gosh, we should do that. That's like on my bucket list. $3,000 for the weekend.
Oh, I don't want the whole weekend. I'd have to have a guy there or something.
Well, and it was funny because I'm like, we get high tea, and he just looked at me. He's like, no.
Just one night, middle of the week. I don't care, Wednesday or something. The cheap rates.
Well, and that's what I was like looking. I was like, there's nothing cheap about this place.
I know, but it's just one. I've never done that.
Yeah, but that was one of the things. My dad brought us there as kids, and I'm like, someday I want to stay in that hotel. And so that's one of the things. But I'll probably be out in the parking lot because Mike's not about to pay that much money.
I did a lot of things with Girl Scouts at the time. My Girl Scout troop caught train in Chicago, the Burlington route. Caught a train. We went to Galena, Illinois. Stayed overnight at the Chestnut Mountain Hotel Resort, and we went out there. And the whole Girl Scout troop went on a train and back again. We had a great time out there, and all the girls were great girls. You know, great girls.
And you're still in touch with some of them.
Oh yes, oh yes. You live in the house that was one of the Girl Scouts in my troop, Laura Shaw.
Yeah, well, and I found her. I hope she's watching, because I found her confirmation stuff. We were taking something out of our drawer, and it dropped down from the top of the drawer in the bathroom. And it was like, this certificate says that Laura Shaw it's got her confirmation.
I don't know what her married name is, but she lives down by the fairgrounds someplace. So I don't know what her married name is.
It was crazy. Last year, like around this time, Carla's like, go on to Crown Point Cares or Crown Point History or whatever. They're talking about your house. And she had posted, maybe it wasn't her, but she posted a picture of my house and said, I am so happy that these people are taking good care of my house. Aww. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is so cool. Yeah. So, and it was cool because she sent me, her and another woman. The other woman lived in it for 2 years when it was near the St. Mary's entrance. Mm-hmm. And then she lived in it there, and then when they moved it to where it is now. So she had like the pictures of like the 50s cars in front of it, and like them out in the barbecue and stuff, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's my house. But it's so cool that we connected.
When they moved the house there, they didn't have a number for your house, so they give you 8.5. What is it?
219.5, and I'm still dealing with that.
East South Street. It's a half. It's amazing. You know?
Yeah, I feel sorry for my neighbor because she constantly is getting my mail or getting my packages. She did get, when we had True Green, they sprayed her yard, and I got the bill, and I was like, wait. So she came out and she said, thank you. We haven't had weeds that bad this year. So yeah, that is a problem. And putting it into some of the places, like if I order something online, they don't accept it. They'll say, so I'll have to write in 0.5 or 219 and a half East South Street. Right. So, but yeah, we love that house, and it was so nice to see other families talking about how they love the house as well, and like to see, like they used to have I mean, you've been in my kitchen. They used to have a full kitchen table in there, and I was like, oh, where did you put that? Because I got a lot of junk in there right now.
But anyway, I had a nice, that was some of the experiences with the Girl Scouts, and I did that. I had a troop of Girl Scouts and a den of Boy Scouts, and usually had 16 girls, and they had style shows at my house, and I enjoyed. That's where I enjoy life with the kids. I there's something about being able to do it.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, my kids just adore you as my husband, because when he goes through a rough time, he misses his mom so much, and he'll be like, I really need a mom hug. And I'm like, okay. So he'll give a shout out, and he'll like, we'll walk on over, and like, especially when after he lost his job and everything like that, we just came over, and I swear to God, he didn't want to let you and Carla go. And it's like, he misses his mom so much, and those are the times when you guys fill in very nicely.
All right. While we're all on the phone here yet, I'd like to invite everybody to my house for the 4th of July parade. And it's on 326 South Main. It's next to the Methodist Church. And it has, we have spaghetti and meatballs. That's and you bring whatever you want.
Well, I don't forget, you also have St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, St. Patrick's Day. And
St. Patrick's Day, you definitely. It is so much fun coming there. I mean, it is so many awesome people. I mean, and that's just it. It's like, since you open up your home to everybody, everybody is there. And it's just such a good, place to be.
I don't know. I might not be having it this year because I got too much estate stuff on my dining room table. We can't eat off the table. We have to eat out of the porch.
So you do not want to go to the estate sale after this?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to take that, we don't want to fill that. Well, Carla's out of town. We could totally fill the house. We've got time. Jimmy, on the other hand, will come over and kill me, but that's okay. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Next week, okay, I'm going to just crab a little bit. I can't stand half days. I despise half days at school. And then you put it on a Wednesday, makes me even crabbier. No, it's just some teachers institute or whatever. So teachers of my children, because I am friends with 2 of them on Facebook, close your ears. My kids will be my guests next week because I am taking them out of school. I was like, you guys are going to be ruining my show because I have to pick up kids at 11 and 11:30 or whatever. I drop Hazel off and I feel like an hour later I'm picking up the boys. So I'm totally out. I just taking my kids out of school. My teens have both agreed to be on camera, which is huge. And yes, Jack is going to talk about, he wants to, we're not going to talk about his shower habits of 45 minutes and what he's doing in there. But I don't want to embarrass him too much. But yeah, they both agreed. Ted was nervous at first because he's like, who's going to see me? I'm like, oh, nobody. It's just going to be us. And Hazel's freaking out already because I talked to her this morning and she's like, what questions are you going to ask me? I don't know yet. So, yeah. So tune in next Wednesday. We will have the Alice children. So not only will you see pictures of them, but you'll be able to hear their voices and get to know my crazy bunch of kids. So we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you, Louise. I love you so much. I'm so glad you came and played with us today, and you're always welcome to come back.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks. Everybody have a good week. See you next week.
Then you'd get all.
Philosophers and scientists are priests and acolytes. They'll tell you that when